Hello. Sorry I'm a little late. I was recording an episode of the Info Runners, and every time I record an episode of the Info Runners, it starts off as like, yeah, we'll sit there and talk for an hour and a half. And we ended up, for like do some talking, do some recording, and then we ended up being there for 3 hours. Almost 3 hours. So had a little bit of overrun there. Give me 2 more seconds. I'm still logging in. Turn on the music so at least you can hear some music. Go. But check out 421. How y'all doing? Figuring it out as I go. Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul, Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astro Pub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. Tutorial. How you doing, Nazi? So the title is the title. We're going to be talking about Death of a Spaceman. I think I'm going to title the actual stream, You're Wrong About Death of a Spaceman. Just because I want to try to get maximum amount of eyeballs on it. All right, so this is 4.2.1, new PTU. Why do I have a Sterling Exploration sheet too? Oh, from my... I think from the, I don't have a backpack, I don't think, but I do have a thick boy backpack. Here we go. Imagine a super heavy combat suit the size of a Sterling, slow, thick armor, or just, just at that point, just get make a Titan suit. Well, I know it's PTU, but at least the people are walking around like they should. You can't really get a Titan suit in the hallways of Idris. I mean, there's no reason for a thick suit. I mean, you already have the big heavy suits. These are basically big heavy suits. What you're saying is you want a visually thick suit, not necessarily an actual like thick suit. Casually welding, cutting that ATM. Listen, sometimes you just need to break into that ATMs. Hey. I will say that the population is walking around pretty nicely, actually. They're not kneeling, they're not crouching, seems pretty good. I mean, I've said that for a while, that boarding shields are like ballistic shields and a melee weapon would be a good combination.
City Flight is proud to be the official transportation service provider for the Arcor Metropolitan Network. Stand clear. Doors are now closing.
I think the respawn aspect of this game means that there is a commodity to use, a gel or something that goes into a medic station of a medical Pisces, etc. If that gel costs 500k UEC to use for a single respawn, people will use medical a lot more. That's what I've been saying is going to happen for a while. I'll pull out a medical ship and I'll show you a recent medical ship if I have one, and I'll show you like how they already have that in there. It's not just the Med Pisces; it's the Med Pisces. It's the Nursa, the Trauma Turtle, all of them. Hey, Luna.
Now arriving.
Yeah, it's going to be Griffin, Fast Cart, and Tree 0311. You and Tree together, Jin, I know. I just want to wear the thick boy armor because it's funny. I don't call it med pen because a med pen is a med pen. Don't CIG the terms there, Jakiro.
Your personal belongings are your personal responsibility. Monitor your luggage at all times.
Honestly, if you pull out a Nerf gun in places like ArtCorp, you should have realistically be shot to pieces by the local security.
Want your company to be in good company? ArtCorp's unique vertically integrated corporate parks offer amenities.
Star Citizen is a dystopia. It should be reflective of that.
Inquire today to learn how you can invest in making ArtCorp.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
Let's see if I have one. I don't think I have many medical ships, really. I don't really have any medical ships. Took away my Polaris. Interesting. Well, I do have one. Here we go. TAC.
Your vehicle has been reappraised as visitors again.
But yeah, pulling it out in Lowville is kill. Shooting the guards within is kill in Area 18. Yes. Tree wanted to come on because Tree literally, this is his bread and butter. Tree both, he literally works as a paramedic. That's his day job. He works for a hospital with pararescue, with helicopters, helicopter rescue. So like the medical system is his like major passion. I know Griff has wants conversations about it, and Fastcart wanted to pull it onto it because I think it's, you know, it's just been around for a long time. Okay, so this ship just came out, right? It has medical in it. Let me show you. See? It looks like it has 2 slots. My guess is one of these slots is for Regen serum, and the other slot is for medicine. There's probably just a generic capsule that's just medicine, and the other one is for regen. And then as the system evolves, it may be a question of, do you want both slots to have regen gel? Then you can't use this bed to heal yourself up. But you can use it for more regens. And they'll probably even break down the medicine even further, because they can granulate the medicine to specific treatment tools, like they already have with the different like medicines they have for the med gun. That's the regular gun. There we go. You know, Resurga, Sturgeon, Dexatrine, Roxafen, and Hemozol. They could easily have each one of these be their own capsule, so you have to put them, you have to have the right medicines in the right like auto dock to be able to heal the right items. And that means you'd have to have a nurse or a you know, a doc of some kind who would go, okay, we need to pop, you know, say swap this out for like actual capsules that you can then like a storage place where you can pull the capsule out, replace it in here for the right thing. You have this in the middle, maybe this is something you can use as storage, and then you just swap it out so you are working on the fly. Capsules, yes. Containers. There's stuff on the wall. All these things are labeled O2, but you know. Yeah, for sure. But it should also be within gameplay perspectives as well. Ripperdoc confirmed, Mr. Freeman? Yeah. And in Crusader and Microtech, they should pull out a stun baton and beat you the shit out of you. Yeah.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
Nah, in Microtech, they should do that. And in Crusader, they'll demand you surrender, and they won't actually kill you. They'll beat you. You surrender, and then they'll beat you.
Your vehicle has been replaced.
See if they have the new missions in. I don't think they do. Okay, yeah, this suit's going away. Suits that are just not piss me off. Yeah, we're doing space combat. Why don't we do Space combat proper. Resource drive, first in. Microtech. Let's do the resource drive microtech.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
Let us pull the max out.
Your vehicle has please visited.
Welcome aboard the Microtech team. I'm Master Remington. Most folks call me Regen. I'll support you collecting these resources as efficiently as possible. Let's get to work.
I can barely hear him, but yeah. Lifeguard go burr. What's lifeguard? They'll have medical officers, makes sense. It's just the reason why they haven't done it is because the people who are involved typically in making those sorts of gameplay are working on Squadron 42 stuff. Modifying stuff, changing things around. Or they're focused on things like scanning gameplay and the other new gameplay stuff that they've been adding. The multi-tool healing attachment, does it actually work? I haven't seen it work in forever.
How can this help you today? Systems on. Landing.
Wow, yeah, hovering is really different now. How do I feel about ship scanning in 4.2? I haven't really tried it in 4.2, honestly. Change that.
Weapon system off. Weapon systems on.
Feels significantly better than the last patch, but still not as consistent. Okay. Right click to self-heal. All right. So I gotta figure out where tungsten is being sold. I know where copper is being sold, if it's the same as it usually is. So, corundum. Oh, I gotta collect them. Okay. Sweet. I don't have to buy them myself. Yes, Wicklow, I know. Yes, this is the new event. I don't have a multi-tool, so I have to go stop off at the station and pick up the multi-tool. I'm gonna do this real quick.
Quantum fuel at 75%. Quantum fuel at 50%.
Hey, Piss Poor Pete, how you doing? Everyone who's subbed, type in hub capsule. Real quick. Very good. Just for you, Petey.
Quantum travel complete.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew pew.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
Shifty Streaming just resubscribed for 28 months. Dance.
Thank you so much for that 28 months of support. You're a very important pupper, very impressive visitor, very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Much better than I have someone to listen to. Awesome. Glad to be the voice in the background. Naps. Tressler.
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete. Shield on. Landing gear down.
Given that the Stormbreaker is an activity to stay instead of an event, does that mean the regen crisis will last for years or even longer? No, because the idea of the Stormbreaker event is that this was built in response to the regen crisis, but it's not necessarily going to be because these facilities are broken, right? They're damaged. You have like guards around it, but it's mostly to prevent their shame from getting out, sort of thing. You get what I mean? I think it's also indicative of CIG will probably not keep the Stormbreaker around for longer than a year. Got the max I see. Yep, I love the max. Keep this here for now. Again, I believe that the regen crisis is just a narrative way of introducing regen to players who don't know what the fuck regen is, because nobody knows what it is because it's never been explained to them in game. Even developers themselves call it like cloning and other things like that, which it's not, because no one's actually been forced to sit down and explain what it is to the player base. Set my respawn here, even though that won't matter that much.
Kelto RX, medicine isn't only about healing. Forget that stress. Just relax. Everyone here at Kelto RX is going to take great care of you.
Nope, get away from you. Get away from you as fast as possible. Really time travel wise. Yes, thank you, Q-Man. I mean, it kind of is. Just for shits and giggles. The server is acting at 30 FPS. And there are a total of 64 people in the shark. The server itself has 14. So if you want to know what Squadron 42 will look like, this is pretty close to the performance I'm sure you'd be getting at Squadron right now. The AI moving, the frames I'm getting, yeah. Hey, Troll. How you doing? I have a question for the podcast, if you wouldn't mind. Do you think community is often more focusing on the details and the bigger picture? I mean, yeah. Typically, that's the problem. Because a lot of players... it's both a problem and also understandable. Most players do not... especially these days, aren't backing the game because of the promise of what the game will be. They want to play the game now. And a lot of people's perspective is, I've paid X amount of money, X number of years ago. I want the game now. I don't want some maybe distant future possible game. I want the game now. So make the game now. And so people get hung up on, like, the meta, they get hung up on, you know, what's going on right away. And there's some rare cases where those two intersect. Like, for instance, the whole, like, the Blades controversy. I think that's where people who are like, fuck you now, and people who are like, hey, long-term details, both agreed, hey, this is bad. Hey, do you know what makes an org active on the website? Not a clue. I think it's just people who participate in the on the website itself.
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete.
I haven't played Star Citizen for a while. What's new since 4.0? Is the game optimized better? Oh, yeah. Like, I'll show you again. I'm getting 99. 96, 80. It'll drop down a little bit once I get out of quantum.
Quantum travel complete.
Get around almost 100 FPS. Let me show you my settings too. I'm at FSR, quality 66. If I turn it off, about the same, a little bit worse. Now, on the live servers, it's a little worse than this, because I am on a server with 14 people on it. Only 64 people on the Shard. But generally speaking, the performance has gone way up since 4.0. So I have a RTX, 9070 XT. And I have 48 gigabytes of RAM. Or exclamation point PC, I think, has that. Those are all the details. So I've got a upper mid-range. If I've had 2 podcasts in the last 2 to 3 months regarding the topic, the answer is no. I've had topics on.
You can take away my spaceship.
On
You
ships
can take away my
in the last
space
2 to
suit.
3 months.
You can even take away my space.
The reason why I have these
lasers.
podcasts is because people watch
But
them.
you can never, ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
It's a topic that's going to be more in there because of Regen places.
Senale just resubscribed for 58 months.
Thank you so much for the 58 months of support. You're very important, public, very impressive, Mr. Vandy pedestrian. This is your fault. We're trying to unite. Shots and cheers to chat. Shots and cheers. Don't conflate me doing a topic with me with like some sort of need for the community to ask the question. I do the topic because people will click it. I wonder how Ryzen 7 7840HS RTX 4060 60 gigabytes would do now for the performance. That's a little low. 16 gigabytes of RAM is like bare minimum. It would do okay, but you'd probably do better than you were before, but I don't know if it would be much different.
Landing gear down.
And I do plan on having the actual title of the podcast be a lot more spicy. It'll work. The topic itself is going to be why you're wrong about Death of a Spaceman. Squadron 42 is set to release in 2026. They made that announcement in this last CitizenCon. It's the first time they've made an official date since the 2016 debacle.
Engines off.
Now, don't take that 2026 to mean January. I don't think it's going to be January. I think it's going to be December of 2026. Yeah. But it's going to come out in 2026. I wish it would be November. Clickbaity, you know it. It's the only way people fucking see your videos these days. And remember, I had this conversation on the captain's table. It's all about being overly positive with the messaging. Because when you're overly positive with the messaging, people like Knowledge come on and rant and rave about how you're wrong, or you're a shill, or you're an idiot, and because they rant and rave in the comments, that comment actually then promotes the video to other people, and those people will watch it. The vast majority of people watch it and just enjoy it, but with having the right title and the right eye-catching thumbnail will get people to immediately make their own opinions known, which will then cause it to be boosted in the algorithm. And I've done this in the past and know that, yeah, it actually works. And in fact, the positive, the like to dislike ratio is usually better when you do that sort of overly positive title, even if it's a more nuanced discussion. But then the argument is that it works too as its engagement. Yeah, that's the thing. I want to have a nice discussion, and I want people to discuss and you know, talk about the flaws or talk about the goods and the bads of it, and that CIG may need to change things here and there. But you know, saying a reasonable discussion about Regen or a reasonable discussion about Death of a Spaceman doesn't actually get anyone to give a fuck. Also contradictory though, because if your content is all positive all the time, it's boring and you bring nothing to the table. Yeah, it's designed to be positive enough to get people who are mad to respond, but the content should be interesting enough that people watch. I don't really care about money, dude. I mean, I teach for a living. The big deal is to more get people engaged so that they're watching. I want to make things that people want to watch, and if people want to watch it and enjoy themselves, then I've succeeded. But you have to play the game of YouTube in order to get that to work. Maybe, I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but now playing on this server, it makes me go, yeah, the servers have always been and will always be the issue when it comes to Star Citizen. Because like the tracking is working fine, it's even like tracing properly. The FPS is really good. The NPCs are functioning. Even the elevators are working. Like, yeah, it's the servers. The servers are the problem. And I think that's always going to be the issue with CIG, is Star Citizen's main problem is going to be its servers. Server meshing did improve. Like, performance is much better than it was a long time ago, but the issues that still remain are definitely stuck around server performance. So hopefully, dynamic server meshing will improve that, and then them just optimizing the game will help that. Yeah, it's also optimization. Like, I have under no illusions that this is going to be the performance you're going to have with 4.2.1 Live. It's just because there's nobody on this server. I remember pre 4.0 performance. It was okay, but it wasn't consistent.
Landing gear down.
The problem with Star Citizen now are the persistent bugs and other issues, which I'm pretty sure are around the server performances themselves. No, I mean, this is the PTU. Ronnie. Oh, you're saying just in general. Yeah, being in Stanton will help because everyone's going to move over to Pyro. I'll say this. The problems that I've seen most people complain about is not performance these days. It's the elevators don't work properly. I mean, like the freight elevators don't work properly. The ship elevators aren't working properly. You know, NPCs are lagging out. The missions aren't spawning properly. It's less on I'm getting 2 FPS and more on can I get the game to work,
Wanted
please?
to let you know that your resource delivery went through. Hope to see you back out there again soon.
So this is where you actually have to pick up stuff and deliver it. This is a recovery cargo. It's not telling me what this is. Oh, left. Okay, this is large cargo. You can do that one. It's 58. This is mining. It's just ongoing. Just mining it and do that kind of stuff. This is okay. Interesting. Let's do that real quick. This is the PTU. That mission also thankfully lets you use bugged contract commodities when the other one bugs out. Nice. Where can we find the is it in the journal that we can see the current? Crusaders that is in the lead right now, followed by shortly after is Microtech, then ArcCorp, then Hurston. Well, it's because they both I think they both spawn in.
You know that Microtech truly appreciates you partnering with us on this contract.
It makes sense that Crusader is winning because everyone likes Crusader. Yeah, you can grind for all 4 companies.
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete. Landing gear up.
They just need to make the journal more accessible and point people to the journal more frequently. Should be pretty high.
Quantum travel engaged.
Typically my FOV is like maxed out, so it probably looks different from everybody else. Yeah, it's 116. I think most people are like here, like at 90. You can see it's much smaller, takes up more of the space, and then when I go for my FOV, I go jack it all the way to the top. I look further back. I can see more of the screen. I don't have an ultra wide screen, so.
Quantum travel complete.
Everyone's talking about the heat. I'm just glad it's not like boiling here. It's a nice hot 97 degrees. 36 degrees Celsius. Oh, and it's only 89 degrees right now. No, it's in 92 high. Sweet. It's only 92 degrees.
Quantum travel complete.
Colorado's a bit like Mordor today, too. I was going to say, welcome to what it feels like in Texas most of the summer. Is the Zeus Mark II MR playable? No, it's not. It probably won't be until they get Bounty Hunting Mark II in. Log. Slow down. You're gonna hear so many people complaining, Jin, about how hot it is. You have to do the Texas thing and be like, this is fine. 105 in Stafford, Arizona. Yeah, that's gonna be me in July. I wonder if it's going to be colder in Vegas than it is going to be in Texas on July 12th. That would be funny. I get you there, Arius. I get it. That was weird. Weird. Maybe it's because I fucked with my FOV. There it is. They've changed some of the sound effects. I like the new sound effects. Random here. I don't see a U.S. Marine taking out Texans. They're run by the government, although perhaps EPA may take off Texans dumping motor oil in the river. Yeah, we usually get 115 to 120. Though it's going to be a cooler summer this year, I have heard at least. Could be wrong on that. I think it's because of the El Nino La Nina cycle. Which if you're in California, you probably recognize. Because I grew up with a lot of that. And I've been hearing it here too. It's like, oh yeah, because we're on the Gulf. Also in that sort of general vicinity. Getting all those weather patterns from Mexico. Back to Star Citizen. Geez, it took them. No, this back turret's still there. Still here. It's still annoying as ever. It needs to be a remote turret. When they ever get around to fixing the freelancers' interiors, they need to make pilot, co-pilot seat without the other two back seats, or if they have the two back seats, they need to be jump seats, not like, you know, what they are now. I'm gonna say there's got to be another copper. Copper? It's got to be. Yeah, 'cause it's the same number of boxes as the Rundamers. Yeah, they could add a standing engineering. Look at that. Wonderful. Make an art, chat. Make an art. Box art. Oop, that door animation's busted. That's new. Problem is the large is like 72, 30, and 60 total.
Landing gear out.
Also, Paul, I had an idea a while ago. I don't know if it overlaps with plans they would have to put in place for need for CIG to add player counts to a mission based on some factor. If that mission is shared to a number of people below or at the limit, they should just get full payout rep. Work. I mean, there's lots of ways that CIG could set the situation. My personal preference, at least in the short term, is for them to have a proximity where you have to be within X number of meters in order for, or like within 4 kilometers of the mission location when it completes in order to be counted as completion. So that way, when you have like big group missions, you don't have people just signing up and being like, I'm going to do something else and get free credit for it. And that does have a situation where someone dies and goes all the way out from like past where they're supposed to be. And that's like, well, it feels bad, but it also like, yeah, you know, don't die. Get good. You're going to have some people get disappointed and get mad at you at some point, CIG. You're not going to be able to make everyone happy. Freelance Max is one of my favorite ships that I own. It is my favorite of the freelancers, but I love all the freelancers. Imagine being in a door with 4 people with the current setup during long explosion and walk out in QT. The interior was built for a different game. It needs to have suit lockers, it needs to have weapons lockers, it needs to have storage areas, it needs to have areas where you can like make food, fabricate food fabs, that kind of thing.
Landing gear down. Landing successful. Engines off.
Let me take a look at this. Oh, you put this is yours. Yeah, it would basically slightly increase the amount of cargo it can carry, which actually would be good because 132 SCU would be a great increase. I'm gonna do it like this. I just think a player limit for that can give full payout to the short-term rate increase group gameplay. Yeah, I could see that too, but that would also require instancing or because you also have you'd have the feel bads of people being like, okay, so I joined in for the mission. The mission is basically unavailable because it's reached the max player cap, so I can't play the mission that was just created. Well, then people would just would join it and then leave. You know, people would be like, okay, cool. I'll just join this mission so it's over the limit and then not actually participate because I can still get some rewards and not have to fuck around. So some people just do it to fuck with people because it's free. So the limit is 40 people on this mission. I can be the 41st person. It'll reduce everyone else's payout, including my own, but I also still don't have to show up and do anything. Sweet. I don't care that it's reduced. I'll just not worry about it. Yeah, I get to fuck with people, and I also get to be a little douchebag, and I also get to earn some money, even if it's not the maximum amount. I don't care. I'm not actually going to participate in the mission, anyways. For the record, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's how people like function. I mean, like, let's say a member is hauling contract that has a cap of 10 people before it starts to split payout. So, like, personal missions rather than the public missions. Like, I have this mission. It is suggested for this number of people. If you have this number of people in there, you can do it. But then if you go over this number, if you share it, it will change it. That could work. The problem would be people would go, well, then why Why can't I do it just solo and make more money? You still get people complaining about it, but that would work in terms of solving the problem of, like, people wanting to do work together and, you know, and encouraging people to actually play together. That's also assuming that CIG wants to encourage people to work together. Which I don't think that's the case. One of these new missions has a type to retrieve large cargo. There are 16 8 SCU containers at the enemy base. Turn it only requires 3, so multiple people can do the credit by sending them directly on the elevator. Oh, I didn't know that. That's neat. That's good to know. That's a good solution to a problem as well. I think that's a little, what would we read it first? I like to think that in time we would make the events ourselves. A player org would put out a request for resources to build a station, become a supplier, die like scenario. I think that's overly optimistic because I don't think CIG is capable of making the game like that. I'm sure they want to, but there's nothing in CIG's past that has led me to believe that they are willing or even able to allow players to create contracts. They still struggle with beacons. So I have delivered 23 SCU of cargo. I get a reward for each step I do.
Got some good news. Payment on your latest contract is on the way. The resources you helped out on were just delivered.
Isn't that the point of the social system rework? The social system rework is to give Star Citizen basic MMO features, not create dynamic mission systems.
Welcome to the ASOC Vehicle Retrieval System.
Like, there's nothing in the social system stuff that they've talked about that would let you produce a mission that, you know, even everyone in your org could complete. You can have to-do lists, but nothing that, like, would track what actually is being done. This is 421, yes. More than 23 SCU, but the game currently only counts boxes, not SCU. It says it's SCU. Oh yeah, you're right. Because I had 19 and 19 in that plus plus 11, I think. So it should have been like 39 SCU. Let me see. There were 4, 5, 6, 12. Well, I should have been like 18 if they counted everything else. So it just not calculated properly. Something's wrong with that. Yeah, because it's SCU. Anything transactional is dead simple to track, at least, so simple player contracts. It's simple to track, but I don't know how they could integrate it into their systems. Because here's the thing. If there's a way to cheese the system, players will figure it out. And there's also many different ways, like take resource A, deliver it to point B. You get X number of UEC from organization or from person. There could be an issue where, like we just see, it's tracking boxes, not SCU. Or you put in a box and it doesn't register that box as existing properly. So you don't get the payout. Or it's tracking the wrong types of boxes. And that's just with a simple solution like that, where resource A to point B. Surface beacons was where I was part of the social. Look that up. All right, I'm going to pause this here anyways because I got to do some setup. We got to get started here in about 30 minutes. Party finder. There we go.
The other functionality we're adding, right?
I sure did. I also got them to add the combat login.
That's sweet. How kind of you. So, first off, as we can see here, we're making slash commands actually useful. So no longer just chicken dancing and flexing. It's going to be able to help you send messages to party, to proximity.
And ultimately, so we want to keep the guide types from the website because there's already a lot of good ones there. And they already cover a very wide variety of gameplay. And as we add more game systems, more guide types are going to get added too. And base building's a great example of that, which is a little teaser there for tomorrow.
No teaser. You're teasing. Okay. I'm a new player and I need training in a key area. How does this all tie together? Let me answer my own question. It ties into beacons, trust, and rating systems. Or as we say internally, beacons, but actually good.
Take away my space. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No pews.
But you can never, ever take away my space
about an
game.
hour. What you have?
Astri_2899 just resubscribed for 13 months. Croncio7, good evening.
Hey, how's it going there? 13 months of support there, Austria. You're very important, popular, very impressive, very pedestrian. This is your fault. There's one night. Shots and cheers, check. Cheers and cheers. Yes, it is. We're supposed to be in honor of Avasarala from The Expanse.
Yeah. So beacons have been in the game for a while, but we are juicing them up.
Yeah, so let's look at how we're juicing them up. So first off, tying into the guide stuff, we're adding a new type of beacon. So guide beacons. It means that if you are a guide, you'll be able to respond to them. If you need a guide, you broadcast them. And if you need a guide, you can be certain that whoever responds to them knows their stuff. So this is obviously good for new players needing to learn the game, but even seasoned players like
I must have been
so far.
Oh, shoot.
You guys have been thousands to come and help us test this technology.
There's many different types of.
I must have been like out of the room when they talked about this. I don't remember this being in here at all. So thank you for pointing it out there. Who was that? Lucid. This is something I've been talking about forever, which is you need to like have the ability for players to effectively become a guide in game through a guild.
Guide beacons here, but we're also adding more categories to service beacons.
Now all this beacon stuff sounds fine, but let's be honest. I have a friend, not me, but every time they use a beacon, they get ganked. How are we gonna do? What are we gonna do to make sure that whoever is answering my call for help is trustworthy?
Are you sure that's your friend and not you? Yeah, okay. So we've got a few ways of tackling this, and one of them is actually subsidizing the beacons. So guilds contribute rewards to the payouts on service beacons, and we'll get to guilds shortly. But that could be money, reputation, or potentially other rewards as well.
Because we like getting paid.
And ultimately, that keeps the cost down for the people that need help, but rewards the people that are helping. And this actually finally makes it viable to do beacons for whatever profession you like to do. Medics, refuelers, and repairers, just to name a few. But if you misbehave and you fail the beacon, there's no payout for you. So that's one incentive. The other is that we're adding a proficiency rating. Responders can earn that rating by successfully completing service beacons. You go from bronze up to gold, which indicates your level of experience and success, and only the top few will be able to earn platinum status, which essentially puts you on a leaderboard and marks you as one of the best playing in your region. So when broadcasting, responders offer to help, and you'll see their rating. Then you'll get to pick who you want to help you out. Then let's say you're not very good, or you like to misbehave a lot. Failing a beacon will result in losing rating, and then repeat offenders will enter the red zone.
The bald zone.
And then only really desperate people are going to take you on. We're making the system much more robust to the point of automatically determining success or failure. So we're putting a lot of focus on making the system difficult to exploit as well, in the many different ways that it can be right now. So criminal types, like you, Benoit, will have to get much more creative.
So yeah, that's all great from the beacon broadcaster's perspective, right? Pretty cool stuff. But they're not the only ones getting ganked. The beacon responders, they're also in a bad position. So what are we doing for the beacon responders? Well, we want to give you some idea of the risk you're putting yourself into by responding to the beacon. So we're adding trust rating. So if we look at this person who's looking for some help to repair here, well, you can see their last 5 recent beacons that they've broadcasted. They have 2 neutral ones. Something's gone wrong, but it wasn't necessarily bad or illegal. Then they have a red one. That's bad. They have been up to something. But they have also been successful with 2 beacons. So, well, at least you can assess the situation before going into it. It ensures your safety when doing a good deed. And yeah, I think that's it for beacons. So, well,
we've got AJ? One more big thing I guess we need to talk about, right? Which we're really excited for.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That is exciting. I like this one.
Did someone mess with the slides?
In Sweden, we call this a double barrel.
Well, it's not time for lunch just yet. So, who would like to talk about player organization?
That's probably because I remember that one more than anything else. So that's interesting. I didn't know that. I could see that working, but that's also, remember, that's a that was a slideshow, so we're still years away from that. So I don't know. I guess you could do your own sort of events with those sorts of beacons, but that would require multiple people being able to respond to a beacon rather than just one. So I think that would still require some major changes. Oh no, I saw most of the social stuff and I remembered. I just for some reason blanked on all those beacons. I must have stepped away and used the restroom when that was going on. But we're not going to see like reputation like that. That's sort of reputation, but that's not the kind of reputation that I was hoping for overall. That's just like part of the reputation. The current reputation system is just a guild-based system, which is more of a progression than it is actual site, like going through and changing things. All right, let me I am really hitting that button hard with this one. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm making the thumbnail. And the thumbnail title is You're Gonna Love It. I wasn't part of the festivities. I was streaming it live, but yeah. So let me go into Listen to all Captain's Table 2025 on Spotify. Oh yeah, so there's the one that wasn't, which is the last one, which I'm going to put up on Monday, and then it's going to be kind of like a week behind sort of thing. Okay. I'm going to go to edit, customization, redirect. Go. So now if you're on YouTube, you will probably be swapped over to the Captain's Table podcast once this one ends. Even Paul, like, he works hard for us. I get work hard by sitting on my butt, which is harder than you think. Nine years, Langdon. 9 years. Thank you, champ. All right. I think I got everything set up properly on my end. So how this is going to work is I will switch over to the branding for the Captain's Table by here in like 15 minutes. Those of you who are on YouTube, it will remain there for the setup until we go live. Once we go live on the Captain's Table podcast YouTube, I will end this YouTube stream and it should automatically transfer you to that new live stream. And so you should see above you, there'll be like a little, in the chat, it'll say, you know, the stream has ended. Go join us on over here. You can click that and go pull you through first as well. So because I've tried to separate the branding a little bit, all of the Captain's Table stuff is on the Captain's Table. The pre-show is just because it's just the gameplay stuff. It's a marathon. I mean, it's not been consistently through those 9 years. There've been like weeks that I haven't done it, like, you know, several weeks. But typically I do between 20 and 50 episodes a year. I try to shoot for 42 episodes minimum because it's funny. This is currently episode 23 of season 9. Yeah, it's currently episode 23. So I've only missed, I think, 1 week thus far. Yeah, 24 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. I'll probably miss a couple more, maybe a total of like 3 or 4 more, especially with Captain's Table, with Quantum Vegas and then Citizen Con. I'll be missing those. So that'll be at least 2 more, plus probably 1 or 2 more just because, you know, I'm off. So I'll probably end up with around 45, 46. Thanks, I've gleaned an unimaginable amount from you. Hopefully good things. Let me take the live off of this and save it as... The plan is to talk a little bit about what is Death. I'll explain what Death of a Spaceman is, and then ask, you know, what are the current problems with implementing that in game? What are some of the issues? And then can it work? and it's like, broadly speaking. We're going to see a Squadron 42 during the Squadron 42 episode this year? No, but we may talk about Squadron 42 for the 42nd episode. I don't know when that's going to be. Typically that's in like November, December, so. Death of a Spaceman has always been a bad idea. I love talking about it because it gets people riled up. Some people hate it, some people like it. Yeah, I played it yesterday on stream, that Dragon. I've been playing it. I enjoy it, but I also know that it's very... Don't take this the wrong way. It's not meant as a bad thing, but it's formulaic. It's formulaic in the same way that a good Bethesda game is formulaic. Because it's Funcom. Funcom is taking everything they've learned in all of their previous games, pulling out all the bad parts and leaving the good parts, and then adding a few new things for experimentation. And it's Funcom. They're good at it. I'm also not a guy who plays a lot of baseball games. So But originally, next week was going to be on alien ships, but the alien episode didn't do very well. New flight model and idea when? Sooner than you think. Probably not this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got a tech preview, a tech build of it. Just because a film has tropes doesn't mean it's not worth watching. Tropes are not bad things. Tropes are how you understand things. Like, for instance, what do you call somebody who operates a mech? I guess the video got hit with an alien tax. No, it's just, it's hard to find the right, because it's all about finding the audience. I know there's an audience for alien like ship lovers and stuff like that, but pilot. Yeah, pilot is not the term. It's not a generic term. It's a generic term because it's become a trope. You know, a pilot is usually somebody who is driving a ship or flying a plane. We typically, when we use ground vehicles, we usually call them a driver, right? Or an operator. But mech pilot is a trope. Calling something a pilot is a trope for who operates, mechs. Oh, Ripley, yeah. Yeah, people do get to get you mad if you go too off trope. But tropes can be are good, and I will say that it is a good thing that Dune Awakening is tropey, has its tropes, because it allows you to play the game easy because you understand how. If you've played video games before, you know how to play. Especially a third-person video game, you know how to play Dune Awakening. But it's got enough unique things that you have to kind of discover that make it a little bit better. Like, it's got a transmog system. because mechs are as cool as jets, they got the pilot terminology. It's because I believe the mech pilot originated from Gundam. A combination of Gundam and Macross. Because they called them pilots in Gundam because they're spaceships. And a pilot pilots spaceships. Both ship and plane. And of course, in Macross, they're literally planes that turn into mechs. So they're pilots. They were called pilots in Pacific Rim as well. Yeah, that's because they're using the generic trope of calling a mech operator a pilot. Which is why there's a bit of a contention piece where people will call do not call power armor users pilots. They're soldiers or Marines or whatever because they're just wearing the armor. But people will still call power armor mechs. Like exosuit armor. What's my favorite type of mech? The like 1 to 2 story tall. The like 20-foot tall, which is like, God, it's huge in terms of I always forget that one. About 6 meters, 6 to 8 meters tall, or 4 to 6 meters tall. Hey, tree. One story would be a Titan suit. Yeah, Titan suits. The ATLS is about 10 feet tall. Or like 4 meters. Would mechs be considered heavy equipment? And I would say operators would be the right term. It is, but the trope has been pilot. 3 meters. Hell with that, give me EVA 1 or no deal. I mean, EVA 1 is like the size of the Empire State Building. Like, if I remember correctly, the original Gundam was like 40 feet to 60 feet tall, if I remember correctly. It was 18 meters tall. About 60 feet tall. Yeah. Can we name the ATLS to a Dread Knight? It's not a baby carrier. I think I'd see that as a trope too, where if you're operating a non-military mech, you're an operator, but if you're operating a military mech, you're a pilot. Because if you're just like a construction mech where you build things, or like, I guess construction is the most common sense. I wouldn't say like salvage or anything else like that. The problem is that what are airline pilots? They're pilots. So are fighter pilots or pilots as well. Patlabur in that up in this bitch. For those of you who don't know the lore behind Patlabur, which is the basically a series about mechs, a series about mechs, police forces. The reason why Patlabur exists, the mech forces, mech police exists, is because they have a bunch of these mechs for construction and other heavy equipment usage, and they needed a division to deal with people who go fucking rogue in those big equipments. You know, it would be like if modern police had a tank division, because you know what happens if a construction worker goes rogue with a wrecking ball, or a truck driver goes rogue with a truck. I guess it just depends on how you define pilots to be. Well, I mean, the term pilot itself comes from a nautical term, because when you are operating a boat, when you're steering a boat, you're a pilot. So a ship's pilot is the person who's actually like controlling the ship. And so as a result, that sort of became the default term for people who were flying airplanes, because they were called airships. I wouldn't be surprised if early tank drivers were also called pilots, because they were originally called the land ships. You know? Maybe even trains. I don't know if trains were called pilot. Train drivers were called pilots. But the real reason why mech pilots are called pilots is because they wanted to be associated with jets, because they were like the aces. You know, a lot of mecha and mech fiction have to do with like references to fighter pilots, because fighter pilots, especially World War I fighter pilots, were considered the knights of the modern day during their time period, and the planes were like their steeds, which is why you'll hear people refer to fighter pilots as jocks, like jockeys. Or just drivers. I was just thinking that maybe early train drivers were called pilots. Conductor is the person who is in charge, but etymological trail. Greek pedon, rudder, it originally referred to someone who steers a ship, which makes its given route rudder, which makes sense. Yeah. All right. There we go. For those on YouTube, I have switched over the YouTube, so now it's on the Captain's Table podcast. I will be back in a few moments. I'm going to get everything set up. Don't go anywhere. To answer the question there, Jin, oil is used for more than just combustibles. It's also a very efficient plastic making. There's a lot of products you can make with oil. It just we use it as like transportation and fuel so much. We forget that it's also used in like food.